Roentgen discovered X-ray during the course of his experiment. And then going to the next year, 1896, Henry Becquerel, when he was performing an experiment with uranium salt, he discovered that they could absorb sunlight and give out certain rays. And these rays had the capacity to actually show the intricate sections of what they were focused on. So because of that, not knowing what these rays were called, we call them X-rays, like the way we say find X in mathematics. So he called them X-rays because he didn't know what it was. Further down the line, as Mary and Curie, husband and wife, they expanded the research, even though the wife died of an ectoplastic anemia as a result of exposure to radiation. The daughter also died of leukemia as a result of exposure to radiation. So the subject of radiation has always been on board in the science world. Radiation, it has both beneficial and detrimental properties because radiation is diagnostic. It is what we use to be able to treat. There are certain ailments that you may have that you may not know that you have them until you are exposed to radiation. So radiation is diagnostic and then it can be used for treatment as well. Radiation is classified into different types. We have ionizing radiation and then we have non-ionizing radiation. Awiri in 2011, he said that radiation is a form of energy that can manifest like electromagnetic radiation. Well, being a physics teacher, I understand that light is also a form of energy. So I can say that radiation is light in the sense that it's a band, it has a frequency and a wavelength in an electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is all the ranges of light that exist, from radio waves down to gamma rays. So in between, at a particular wavelength, at a particular frequency, is visible light. So it is after that frequency and wavelength that you begin to get rays that you can, X-rays, gamma rays that you can use for both diagnostics and for treatment purposes. So radiation is classified into two, ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is also further classified into two. Directly, you can have radiation that is directly being ionized, that is directly ionizing radiation, or indirect ionizing radiation. Then we have non-ionizing radiation. So what are the types of radiation? The types of radiation we have are four. First, we have the alpha particles, then we have the beta particles, then we have the X-rays, and then lastly we have the gamma rays. What is mostly being used for children are the X-rays and the gamma rays, depending the ailment that the child is being sent for. So because of the penetrating power of radiation and its high sensitivity, we find that children are 2 to 3 times more sensitive to radiation. As we are here, we are in a very radiated environment because we have the what's this called? Projector giving out rays, the phone, your devices giving out rays, the building because it was made with granite. So this granite has uranium and other radionuclides. So we are already living in a radiated environment. So the most important thing is to be able to check per time how exposed am I to these rays. Every time you go out, even as you are inside your house, you are already exposed. Even inside your body, as you take food and water, you have radionuclide, radioisotopes already found in food and water, carbon-14 and potassium-40. All these are radionuclides that you already have inside your body. So, since we live in a radiation environment, it's very important that we are able to protect ourselves and have this knowledge to also be able to protect our children when we take them home. Next slide. So, these are some of the effects of radiation. Sunlight is an example of alpha rays. Sunlight is not harmful because we use it to do a lot of things. We use it to dry our clothes. It's necessary for the ecosystem. But then, when these rays at certain doses, you are exposed to it, it can begin to burn your skin. Alpha always don't have high penetrating power in the sense that I can wear my clothes, wear my sunshade, wear a face cap, and I'll be protected from alpha rays, from beta rays likewise. But X-rays and gamma rays, they have higher penetration. So no matter how I cover myself, except I use lead, or that's why when you go in for experiment or you go in for X-ray, there's a part of that department that is what they call safe area. That's where the medical personnel, the radiographers, that's where they stay while you are the one that's being exposed for radiation. So this radiation can affect your eyes, it can cause cataracts, prolonged usage of phone, prolonged watching of TV, prolonged looking at the sun or being exposed. It can cause cataracts and it can cause infertility, which is what we are trying to prevent every time we send our children for X-ray examination, especially in boys, because we have radiosensitive areas in the body, like the breast, the female, the genitals, soft tissues in your body, they are radiosensitive. So your lungs too, your lungs are also very sensitive and exposed to radiation. Next slide. So the objective of this study that was carried out in the River State University Hospital was to first of all determine the background and radiation. Since we said that radiation is already everywhere, so how safe is this hospital that we go in for different purposes? What is the rate? What is my exposure rate every time I go into the River State Teaching Hospital? So we were able to measure the indoor of all the departments in the hospital, to measure their indoor background radiation, and then we also measured their outdoor from the gates outside everywhere, measured the outdoor background radiation. Then for the children, we had to get clearance, ethical clearance, to be able to use these children for experiment, of which most of their parents declined because they don't want, not knowing that we're even trying to help them, because we are trying to estimate how much dose is this child taking exposed to. So the most common X-ray examination that we found for children, age break was between 0 to 14. The most common examination that we found was chest X-ray. So we find that a lot of children are always going in for chest examination. Now when I say 0 to 14 years, I mean like for pregnant women. Pregnant women are always consistently going for X-rays. Next slide. There's a device that is used to measure the amount of radiation that you receive. That device is what we call a dosimeter. Now there are different types of dosimeters. We have in-batch, we have chemoluminescence dosimeters, then we have optically stimulated dosimeters. What was used in this case, in this study, was optically stimulated dosimeters. We hired a provider and readings taken red. Next slide. So this were the summary of the results that was gotten as against the reference level provided by the International Population Protection. So, as the children were exposed to these rays, we calculated the FSD, the entrance surface dose, the absorbed dose, the equivalent dose, and these were our results. The entrance surface dose, that is, how much of this radiation actually penetrated through the skin into the body. And then we found that for all our results for this different examination that we did, it was between 0.03 and 0.054, of which the internationally recommended level, diagnostic level for those children was between 0.06, 0.053. So River State Teaching Hospital is doing a good job to ensure that this entrance surface dose was not higher than what was needed. The absorbed dose 2 for the reference level they were giving for ICRP is supposed to be less than 0.06, but it was 0.06 after all simulations was done, which like I said earlier, was because that was the frequent examination that these children come for. So because that is the frequent examination they come for, it's possible that they don't even reduce the dosage. So when a child comes in for X-ray examination, because it's already set, it just expose you whether you are 2 years old or 5 years old or 10 years old or 14 years old, which is what gave us that value. And the annual effective dose, estimating what we also did from this research is based on the results we got from their exposure. If we are going to check annually, if we are going to sum this up annually, what will be the dose equivalent for the children? And it was less than the recommended 1 millisecond. For radiation workers, because they have the badge on, they have the dosimeters on, they should not go more than 20 millisieverts per year. But because people want money, so they don't even mind. Most of them working in the radiology department. Like even when we went for the experiment, they were not putting on dosimeters. They were just walking in. Even a child can be exposed to radiation. Just if the doctor just completely that and go. And that he is also exposed. He goes and exposes the patients that he's also dealing with. And so people that don't know, the exposure continues. And this radiation can actually cause cancer. So the excess lifetime cancer risk from the simulations we did is above the recommended level. It means that every child that actually goes for this examination is at risk of cancer at one point or the other in his life. It may just come at any point, and you will not know that it's as a result of this exposure. Accumulated exposure, both from the hospital, from the TV they watch, children spend so much time on the screen, and all of that. Next slide. So, what were the recommendations of this finding? It's very important that, irrespective of the age group that is coming for exposure, that we keep these radiation doses as low as reasonably achievable. That's the ALARA principle. It should be as low. Don't just take your children for X-ray just because they are telling you that their chest is pinning them. They should only be exposed to radiation when it is needed. That is when a doctor or pediatric suggests it. So don't just expose your children to those drugs. What you are doing is exposing them to cancer, to anemia, to leukemia, and the rest. So in conclusion, the pediatric radiation exposure must be minimized. And then there should be more training, equipment maintenance.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together.